Hello guys and welcome, it is ThatSrb2DUDE here today bringing you a controller review video for Splatoon 2 specifically. So 1 month ago I had purchased the PowerA Fusion Pro Controller, which some of you might know that is worth $100 or £70 in the UK. And I wanted to do a month review just to talk about the performance, if it's still holding up, and how it feels after a month of usage, or I guess extreme usage, since I play Splatoon and other Switch games at least pretty much every single day. So I've used this extensively for over 200 hours now, and I wanted to just tell you guys how it's been going. Now, for those who haven't watched my last video of it, you can go ahead and watch it, but I'll go ahead and briefly tell you some of the features that this controller has. Now, this controller basically has everything except HD Rumble and Amiibo support. Apart from that, it's basically a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, a little bit more weight to it, and it has much smoother sticks with the anti-friction rings. The buttons are a little bit clickier, the D-pad is way better, and the trigger buttons are slightly pointier, but they are very comfortable either way. And of course, it has gyro control, so it's pretty much fit for Splatoon 2. Now, there are a couple of features that come with this controller, but in my experience, I don't feel like you're going to even need it or really use it for this purpose. Now, it has a 3.5mm jack. This can only be used in wired mode, but if you use wired mode with this controller, it does not allow you to use gyro controls. So if you're a gyro person, which a majority of people who play Splatoon 2 are gyro controllers, then this is basically a feature that you wouldn't be using. You can also apply programmable buttons. PowerA is very notorious for having like usually two programmable buttons that you can map basically any input on the actual controller for like, I guess, another quicker way to press it. With my previous PowerA controllers, I would apply a booyah button, so it's easier to booyah, and I just press it on the back. But the thing is, the Pro Pack, the Paddle Pack, whatever you want to call it, when playing Splatoon, it is very, very uncomfortable. In comparison to other PowerA controllers where it's just a button on the back of the handle, you basically have this really large paddle thing coming out of the back of the controller. And personally, why I think it's very uncomfortable, because when you are playing gyro control specifically, you're most likely going to be gripping the controller a certain way. So when you're playing gyro, there's going to be a lot of moments where you're probably going to be pressing in one of the four buttons basically all the time, which, you know, you don't want to be just accidentally pressing in inputs that you don't want. I say if Splatoon didn't have gyro, then the Pro Pack might be of some help, but because of how much it comes out of the controller and how it might get in the way, it pretty much feels really uncomfortable. So if you wanted to get this controller for the Paddle Pack, you're better off just getting a regular PowerA controller, as those back buttons are way more comfortable. But for this one, probably not so much. Now, it has a couple of extra things. You can take the front faceplate off and exchange it for the other one. You have some other sticks that you can also use, which you would use for your right stick. That is, of course, all personal preference. If you want to do that, go ahead. And I've pretty much gone through most of the controller. Now, of course, as I said before, I've had this controller for a month, and I want to tell you guys mainly its performance over the entire month. Now, we're going to basically talk about two things of how it feels in your hand. Basically, you know, the rubber grips at the back, it keeps it very stable in your hand, so it feels really nice. And the other thing is gyro control, which personally, after playing after a month, I definitely feel like this controller, in my personal opinion, has way better gyro than the original Pro controller or any other third-party controller that is out there. I did say in my first review that the gyro did feel a little bit different, and it felt like really, really good. And after a month, it is definitely holding up. But there are some things I would like to say, as I have been using it for a month, because I'd say if you were to get this controller mainly for its gyro, then that's definitely okay. But there are definitely some things you're gonna know about it. So basically, the first few days or a week, the gyro is going to feel extremely good. It's going to feel great, and it's going to feel different. But there might be a point of time where gyro basically feels like it's going off a little bit. Now, for whatever reason, if you do feel like gyro is going off, what I can suggest you guys to do is basically go into system settings, scroll down to controllers and sensors, scroll down to calibrate motion controls. Now, as I said before, you cannot calibrate the controller, but you can calibrate the console. Now, when it comes to doing this, you need to take your Nintendo Switch controller out of the dock and basically lay it flat. What you then do is basically press calibrate console. Now, once you've done this, your controller to your console should work more consistently after that. You could of course do this as many times as you want if the controller feels a little off, but at least there is a solution so that gyro control does feel consistent. Now, that's pretty much the only thing that I wanted to mention with Gyro. Apart from that, Gyro works amazingly well, and it genuinely feels very consistent. But the question is, of course, is this controller worth $100 or, of course, £70? Now, just to go back through everything, as I said before, if you are getting this controller specifically for the power pack and you're going to play Splatoon 2 on it, I genuinely do not think it's worth it. In my experience, I have not had the best experience with it, and I feel the power pack can be very uncomfortable. If a controller like this with the same gyro had the regular back buttons like the other power controllers, then that would be amazing and probably work perfect for me. But the power pack is not worth it for Splatoon 2 specifically. Now, if you're a Splatoon 2 player that loves HD rumble, I am sorry, but this controller does not have that. I know that rumble is a thing that some players do like to use. If you're one of those types of players, I'm sorry, this is probably not a controller for you if you need rumble to actually play this game. And lastly, of course, the gyro. Now, if you're gonna get this controller for the gyro, as long as you follow the steps where if it does go off, calibrate your console, then you're gonna have an amazing gyro experience with this controller. Of course, I can't measure the response times, but it feels just as quick as the regular Switch controller. I know Splatoon 2 has a lot of input delay in general, currently on, I guess, the regular Switch console. This controller would not fix that, but in my opinion, gyro play would be more consistent. So if you're gonna get it for that, then I do not think that you would be disappointed with this. Apart from that, how the sticks feels, how the buttons feel, how the triggers feel, all the buttons on the controller feel really good. Like, it's a very premium controller, and how it feels in your hands, it's extremely comfortable. So from playing on this controller for a month, how the buttons feel, like I remember telling you guys that it did feel really, really clicky at the start. I can definitely tell you now that it has mushed out a little bit, but it still has a very defining click to it, which is really nice. So in general, it's holding up really well, and I don't think you guys would be disappointed if you did get it. So the next time I'm probably going to talk about this controller, guys, is when Splatoon 3 comes out, which is until next year. So I'm going to be using this controller. This is now my main controller for Splatoon in general, and I'll talk about it in a year's time. So until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found it informative. Shoutouts to PowerA for making a controller this good, because I really do enjoy it. This was not a sponsored video. This was all my own thoughts. I actually bought the controller myself, and I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on it and being somewhat knowledgeable at the game at the same time. So either way, thank you very much everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. Make sure to hit the bell notification button next to the subscription button to let you guys know whenever I upload a video. Also, consider joining my public Discord channel, where you can go ahead and talk to myself and my Dude Society community. And it's also one of the greatest places to be notified whenever I go live for a Twitch stream. With all that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. This has been ThatSrb2DUDE, and I shall see you guys in a future video.